Hello, and welcome to Plot Twisters.
This is a podcast where we take movies and twist the plot to see if we can make them better, and if not, more intergalactic.
At the moment, we're talking about teen movies from the 80s.
On this episode, The Last Starfighter from 1984.
I'm Emma, and there's a perfectly logical explanation for all this.
I'm Anders, and I'm kind of new to these gland games.
Do I put it in your ear now?
Is it my turn to stick my tongue in your ear? That's what happens when you date robots. And you don't know about it.
That's so funny. We can go more into those bits. That's what she said in shortly, because thank you. Because they were good.
People don't do slow claps nearly as often as they used to. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
It's a really good way of emphasizing a point.
I've picked up a thing which you may have come across, because we've probably come across it from the same people if we have, which is doing the what's it called? I've forgotten what it's called. You know, the program with the guy, and it's
the
like,
Office? Jimming the camera. Would you jim the camera? When you turn your head and you kind of like look like Jim, and you're like, oh, come on.
It's when something happens that's kind of awkward, but like and bad, but in a funny way, and then you go
curb your enthusiasm.
Yeah,
but
yep.
Pretty.
This is a really good one.
pretty good.
Today we are here to talk about a American space opera.
Good.
Which I love. I love. Every time I think of a space opera, I'm always like, I'm in space.
Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. The rings of Saturn can't hold me down. I'm bigger than you, Dad. Ooh, well. Maybe more telling about me than it is about space, but you know.
This is too many interruptions already, and I've barely even said the title of the movie yet. But I think maybe a really fun game to do would be to just like, you have to sing and keep talking. You know, it's like stream of consciousness talking, but singing, and we'll just see what comes out. We'll do that one day.
Sure. But not
we
now.
need to do we need to have like a side podcast called like The Cutting Room Floor, which is just all the extra nonsense, which...
Man, we could fill. Well, I mean, you know, we could definitely fill a couple of hours with some good old extra stuff. And I do like the idea of a spin-off podcast. I do like that idea. You know that thing where, hey, everybody, do you know that thing where you have a podcast? Maybe this is just us talking, but like, you know that thing where you have a podcast and people are always pitching you ideas for that podcast, and their ideas aren't relevant to the podcast, but are good ideas, you know? And people are like, oh, you do a film podcast about teen films. You're done zombie movies?
Yeah.
Nope.
Not yet. One day.
Not yet. If there's a teenager going to prom and they're also a zombie, sign me up.
Oh my god.
Zombie prom.
Zombie prom.
Zombie.
That's already a film, and it's called Cold Bodies. Anyway. The Last Starfighter. It's a space opera. It's a 1984 film directed by Nick Castle, who I have not heard of.
That makes two of us.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nick.
So essentially, I think the key thing you need to know about The Last Starfighter... Why is that so hard for me to say?
This is like a tongue twister.
Is that it's basically Guardians of the Galaxy meets Star Wars in some ways.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
It's the story of Alex Rogan, who is a teenager who lives in a trailer park, which I believe in the UK we would refer to as a caravan park.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah, why not?
He lives in a trailer park, and he is set up at the start of the plot as being somebody who very much wants to leave, and he's trying to go to a college. He then finds out that he has not been awarded a loan so that he can go to this college. So he's going to have to stay in the city college. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to leave. It's the story. It's that story that they have in America of trying to leave a small town to go to big town.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And during this journey, he starts playing a video game called The Last Starfighter. Is it called Starfighter? And he gets a high score on the video game, and then as a result of this, a strange man turns up in a knockoff DeLorean.
Right, that's
right?
a DeLorean.
Yeah, it's like a spaceship car, but it basically looks like a DeLorean. He turns up and says, "Hey, you're that guy who did super good on the video game. Get in my car because I want to offer you an opportunity." He doesn't even offer him. He just says, "You did really good at this video game. Get in my car."
Yeah.
And this guy Alex is like, "Okay." And then he gets taken away to another planet and enlisted to fight in a war as a starfighter. At one point he says, when he finds out what's really happening, he asks to be taken home. When he goes home, he finds out that a beta unit has been living in his place. It's a robot that looks exactly like him and has been attempting to have a relationship with his girlfriend, which is very funny. But then he goes back and becomes a starfighter and he wins the war. Yeah. It's very fun 1980s computer graphics.
So fun.
It's, I would also say, quite obviously pretty low budget. I mean, like, stuff like the makeup and the visual effects is pretty good, but there's moments where things like there's this big sort of celebration at the end and you see this wide shot of like supposedly hundreds of people, and then it cuts to just like 4 people stood in front of the camera pretending to be a crowd. So it's an odd one, but it's very much a product of its time. The computer graphics have aged terribly. They look very old, but I think I certainly kind of appreciate that anyway.
Fun.
So
that's fun. You know, it's whatever. It looks old. It's not. It doesn't look like Star Wars Episode 1 or whatever, or Episode. Yeah. What was the last one? The Episode 12. You still got it. You know. Han Solo's alive, but the last Star Wars. No, Han Solo died. Spoiler alert. His son killed him. Who saw that coming?
I know, right?
That whole thing is all about dads who don't know their sons and sons who don't know their dads.
And also his name is Kylo Ren. His name is Ben Solo. Yeah. And his like godfather or whatever was called Ben Kenobi.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, you should see them come together, the Sand People, even greater in their numbers. The Sand People travel to disguise their numbers, and also they will steal your droids in the desert. My name is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
I'm Ewan
Stop
McGregor.
trying to eat your spaghetti with a spoon, Luke. Use the forks.
And also, if you sip your drink that has ice in it, the ice will fall on your face. Use a straw, Luke. These are tips on my new podcast. Just to keep life hacks with Obi-Wan Kenobi. You ever try to clean that? You know that stain on your counter you just can't get out? Use bleach and lemon juice. You're welcome. Bye.
And every video starts with, "Hello there."
Hello there. Hello there. Close your eyes. Think about this. He would do, I mean, actually, to be fair, old Obi-Wan Kenobi would be an incredible host of a YouTube channel, which is all about life hacks.
Yeah.
Where everyone, the whole time, episode after episode after episode, he does practical things like, you know, baking soda and lemon juice or whatever. He never uses the Force. And everyone in the comments are always like,
just use the Force, dude. And he's like, no, I'm trying to be relatable to my target audience.
I know a lot of you think I should use the Force. Maybe one day I will. Please smash that like and subscribe button. But I won't be using... Everyone says the Force, but nobody ever says elbow grease or... you know, cutting up pieces of pool, you know, when they use like pool noodles and they cut them up and then people turn them into things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
This is a conversation for another time. What are we talking about? Oh, practical effects.
This is for the other podcast, the trash one, where we have all the trash from all of our episodes.
Note to the editor: save this gold for the trash episode. I like old effects. I like kitschy old, that haven't aged very well effects in movies. That's fine. It's fun.
I think they look great. I actually think they look great. I think they look really cool. There's a moment towards the end where they do the death blossom or whatever it was called. What was it called?
I don't remember. Yeah,
I think it might have been called the death blossom.
Death blossom.
And
I think you're right.
It's like a big finisher move, and he basically presses a button, and then the spaceship spins around a bunch of times and shoots out things everywhere. And it's a huge Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Are you saying you know what I mean?
No,
or are you saying sure what?
Yeah, I'm saying it's kind of both of those things, right? It's like a big explosion.
Right.
What you're saying. I have not seen Deus Ex Machina. What do you say? Is that like a Beethoven song?
Deus Ex Machina means God in the machine, and it's essentially when you, in a plot, you make something somewhat ridiculous happen to solve an unsolvable problem.
Sure.
Such as there's 1 million ships out here, and there's only one of me.
You're literally the
great
Last Starfighter.
news! I've got this button I can press that will shoot everyone at once.
Why didn't they press that button before? Why didn't they press that button before all the other starfighters died?
Right.
Because remember when
maybe they all had one of those as well.
Remember when they were like, one escaped, there's one left, and you were like, oh yeah, it's our guy, he's still alive. But then in my mind it was like, a lot of other characters, they're maybe not people, they're like different types of aliens, but they're still lives, right? Aliens matter. They all died. And it was very sad.
Yeah. What about Peace Man?
Hey, man. Hey, guys. Hey, everybody. Maybe instead of being the last Starfighter, if you just calmed down and worked it out, you could have had lots of Starfighters. Or Star Lovers.
Ooh.
This is the opposite of Starfighters.
Everybody's always talking about Star Wars and Starfighter. What about Star Hugs and Star Lover?
I've been saying that forever. Oh, how about this? How World War II, more like World Care even more. It's not perfect, but, hey, I'm no Hitler.
No.
My point is this.
What?
Like, hey, all right, we've deviated a little bit. Let me just say one thing.
A little bit.
If I was this kid, all right, and I'm out there in the trailer park and I'm just hanging out playing this video game, knowing full well that I want to leave this town and go do something meaningful, but I can't because I didn't get the scholarship or grant or loan or whatever, and I'm going to end up going to state college and this kind of blows. If a spaceman comes from space and says, do you want to come to space? I think I'm going to say yeah. I think I'm going to say, fine, why not? And even though it's a war that has nothing technically to do with Earth, I did like at the end when they were like, by the way, this guy saved the whole universe, including Earth, which didn't even have anything to do with this, but Earth was about to be, without knowing, destroyed. It reminded me of A Hitchhiker's Guide. Do you remember that, right? Where it's like Arthur Dent doesn't, like, Earth's not even, they didn't know. They didn't know Earth was going to be destroyed, but he got picked up by an alien and got taken up into space.
Yeah.
And I like that.
It's just really occurred to me that Futurama and Hitchhiker's Guide are quite similar.
Philip J. Fry is Arthur Dent. But he doesn't even know where his towel is, He's just like the everyman who goes like, I don't know what's going on, but that's why I'm so relatable. But yeah,
isn't it cool how everything is basically a reference, but like half the time you just don't get the reference and it feels original, but then actually you realize it isn't at all.
My whole life, in terms of like consuming and trying to understand content, is a mixture of watching stuff and then going, what's that reference? And on the other side, watching other things and going, I get that reference. It's a reference to another thing. And all the while, as the threads are threaded together, or, sewn or whatever, tailors do, I'm realizing more and more as I age that everything is a reference to everything.
Yes.
And thank you to things like The Simpsons for teaching me that even as an early on in my journey, that you can't just watch a thing. You have to watch a thing and try to figure out what is that thing referencing.
Yes. And some people, their friendships are basically entirely based upon having shared references. And also, side note, listener, if you're listening to this and you get, I would say, at least 80% of the references that we make on this podcast, then you should reach out to us and we should be friends.
Yeah. Do you get it? Do you get it?
Do you get it? Do you get my joke? References?
Because I'm horse.
Can I say something? Can I say something kind of serious about this? And then I'll say something fun, and jovial.
Yeah. Let's go serious for a bit, and then we'll bring the laughs and the jokes back.
Yeah, I'll give you a signal when it's time to be silly again.
Okay, good. What's the signal gonna be?
I will say it's time to be silly again.
Fine. All right. A bit on the nose, but I'll accept it. Okay. I love it. Go serious.
Okay, so the kind of serious thing is there's a moment in this film where Alex Rogan is deciding whether or not to go to space. And the guy who shows up and who's called Centauri.
Yeah, Centauri.
That's another word that's difficult when you have an English mouth. It's like I was trying to say the word like mall, and it's just like it doesn't feel right. Centauri feels so much easier to say than century. There's a moment where he's deciding whether or not to go to space, and he says something like, "But I'm just a guy from a trailer park." And then Centauri says, "Well, if you think that, then that's all you're going to be."
Yeah.
And I loved that. And I thought that was a really cool thing to include.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes there are moments in films where sometimes when you're watching a film, you're just watching a story, you're enjoying a story. And then sometimes something happens or someone says something that just feels kind of weirdly relevant, and it feels like it's speaking to you a bit more directly. And we've talked about moments like that in previous films we've seen. And it's always so lovely when it happens, because it's just like, some screenwriter or director out there understands me and what I'm doing and what I'm going through in my life. And I think that phrase of like, if that's what you think you are, that's all you'll ever be. I feel like that feels very personal to me, because I'm somebody who often struggles with having quite low self-esteem, and I struggle with feeling like I'm not good at things, or I'm not able to do stuff. And so that idea of, well, if you think that about yourself, then that kind of becomes true. Whilst I think it is a more complex issue than that, and while you shouldn't sort of blame yourself for your own struggles, because it's not healthy to think the reason why I'm in this situation is my fault. I just think it's a useful one to have in your head if you are thinking about what you want to do with your life and what you want to achieve. Because a lot of what this film is about is somebody being kind of plucked out of one situation and essentially given the opportunity to shine.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the times with discussions around, self-esteem and what you should do with your life, it's the kind of the goal, the place you want to get to is, I want to know that if this moment happens to me, I will say yes to it. Because a lot of the time, when you have quite low self-esteem issues, you can be a bit of a self-sabotager. Sure, so you can turn things down, or you can assume that things aren't going to work out, and you can reject things that might be good for you because you believe that it's not right for you, or that you don't deserve it. So it's not about how do I get the opportunity, it's how do I make myself ready so that if the opportunity does come, I accept it and I take it.
Yeah.
And again, that's my reading from this film, which I think is like
I love that, right? Because this is look, this is a bit of, you said it, this movie's a bit like, would you say Star Wars meets
Guardians of the Galaxy,
right? Yeah. But also, like, it has the chosen one vibe big time, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that, this kid didn't know that just by playing a video game, which was one of his only outlets in a what he felt like it was a sort of a dead end, life, would reveal this opportunity that was presented to him without a lot of time to think or act. I like to think, I love, I want to be the kind of person who goes, yeah, I'll go for that. I'll take a risk. I'm up for it without over analyzing every aspect of what if, right? I want to live in a world where I have no regrets. But like, I look at that and I go, if an alien showed up one day and said, you're awesome at this thing, we need you, would you go, all right, I'm up for it? Or would I do that? Or would I like throw excuses and try to like, get out of it? I think what you're talking about, the movie kind of captures. It's just like, hey man, you got an opportunity to be awesome. You have to take a leap of faith. You have to just kind of go for this. It's going to be scary and uncomfortable, but like, you might save the world.
Yeah.
But in real life, if an opportunity arises, will you take it because it might make your day or week or year or whatever, or your life even better? Or will you say no because of fear and walk away? I don't know, man. It's easy to look at a situation in isolation and say, this is what I would do. Yeah, I'd join that rebel alliance and go and fight in space.
Yeah.
But, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I would say, no, it's okay. I'm going to keep working at this trailer park for the rest of my life. You need to find somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a bold question hidden in a weird sci-fi movie.
Yeah, and I think like the other thing that I've kind of learned in therapy is how like if there have been situations in your past where you haven't taken that leap of faith, then you can't really judge your past self because that person didn't have the knowledge and the understanding that you do now, and didn't have the life experience that you do now. So like the goal is to gain as much of that experience and knowledge and self-awareness as you can, so that it becomes easier for yourself to sort of accept things. And I think like that's one of the cool things about sci-fi. One of my favorite things about sci-fi is it gives you the opportunity to experiment and play with these real life situations, because it's like in this it's, will you come and save this race of aliens? But in reality it could be something as simple as like, should you go for this other job, or should you try and see if you can date this person, or should you go and buy this car, or anything. It could be something really small. So it's like, it's so cool to have a very big fantastical way of exploring those existential questions.
Well, look, try this on, okay, right? So, like, sci-fi is amazing. We've talked about this before. Sci-fi is great because it can take real things and real questions and real world scenarios and explore it in a way that is fantastical and different and whatever, right? So, like, this science fiction is just exploring real issues, but there's lasers involved, and for some reason it makes it easier for us to like get on board. Of course he's going to join this starfighter brigade because he's he was taken to space and he's going to join this thing, right? But it's a moral question of like, this movie, in my opinion, what if it was he's really good at this video game, right? And then I don't know, the US military shows up and goes, we're at war, right? It's World War II. You're amazing at this. You need to serve your country and come and fight. That feels ickier to me and a bit more like, right? But it's the same thing. It's like, you're good at this thing. Will you take your skill and then come and protect the whole nation, right?
Yeah.
And I just think that when you use sci-fi as a nice lens, you can get away with exploring bigger themes and it not feeling weird. But at the end of the day, this is a military thing. This is people coming in and going, hey, we need you, or a bunch of people are going to die. What are you going to do? Right? Yeah. You have been chosen. You are called to duty. I don't care that you want to go to state college or whatever. I don't care that you got weird relationships with your mom and your girlfriend. Like, you need to make a call right now. We need you. Will you do it? And I don't know. Sci-fi makes it easier to explore interesting questions.
Yeah, because it kind of becomes about him rather than it becomes about the cause. Particularly, we had this similar with what was it? Something Troopers.
Very Sharp Bugs.
Yes, the Sharp Bugs one.
Starship Troopers. Johnny Rico.
When it's Johnny Rico. Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
When it's about like nameless, faceless, identityless aliens, it's a lot easier to get on board with than when it's humans.
Right.
So it becomes about his journey. And I would say that I think that was definitely a flaw in the film for me, is that because he doesn't actually have a cause, it does feel very egotistical, this journey, which is that they're basically just saying, do you want to feel like a success? Do you want to feel glory? Do you want to feel great? And there is this thing of like, Earth is going to explode if you don't do it. But really, the planet that he goes to, he doesn't really have any attachment to.
He has no alliance to them.
He's not doing it because it's the right thing to do. It feels like he's just doing it because he wants to be. He's glorious.
Well, he's doing it.
And that's very pro-military and very hoorah, America.
Yeah. And I don't know if the Last Starfighter was really like pro-military, but it was definitely like, all right, you can sit, like you said, you could just sit here and be yourself, or you can come out to space and do something awesome. Here's the burning question. Like, what did you think of the movie?
I thought mixed reviews across the board.
Me too. Totally, me too.
I liked the CGI.
Yeah.
I liked the space stuff. I liked that it made me think about Star Wars, which I enjoy a lot.
Yeah, it was a poor man's Star Wars for sure.
It was, yeah. And I liked some of the ideas. I really liked, as I alluded, we might come back to the beta unit. I thought that was very fun. And I did read that apparently they, when they screened the film to test audiences, they responded really well to those scenes, so they added more of them.
Really? Interesting.
So this is the stand-in, the robot, who has been sent to Earth to essentially cover up for
right. Our
what's
man,
his name?
Alex. Alex fighting in the Last Starfighter.
This last, indeed, the main dude. He was very funny because he almost like is not only trying to figure out how to be human and how to be Alex, but he's also kind of like quite weirded out by a lot of human behavior. Particularly that he's trying to replace Alex in his relationship with his girlfriend, and is just finding the whole thing super weird and doesn't really understand it.
Yeah, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah. So that was funny. So I liked that a lot. I didn't really feel very invested in the story, and I think what I was saying there about there not being a cause. I'm of a generation where you need a cause.
You can't just ask me to come and fight because I'm good at a video game. You need to destroy my village. They needed to attack his trailer park and then maybe get on board. Or, remember in Armageddon, they were like, hey guys, I know you're like oil rig guys, but we need you because the Earth is going to explode. And they were all like, for real? And then the president was like, yeah, we're beefed if you don't go up to that asteroid and do something about it.
Yeah.
The Last Starfighter, Alex could have been like, no thanks. I mean, eventually Earth would have been exploded, but they didn't know that. He had no. It's not like Earth was not at battle with these very lo-fi fighting planes in space. Yeah. I agree with you. Plus, it was a bit. Also, I don't want to be that guy. Hey, everybody, have you watched The Last Starfighter? It was an hour and 50 minutes long, and it was about 50 minutes too long. Like, there was a lot of space stuff that was very boring.
It took a while to get going
as well. It took a long time. Yeah. At first, I was like, this is fun. This is a movie. What's happening? Kid wants to go to college, bored, stuck in this thing that's fun. Oh, he's playing a video game. What's this, a movie about a video game? And then, whoosh, we're in space.
They should have just cut the whole thing of him coming back to Earth, or made it super fast, like him saying, I want to go back to Earth, and they go, okay, cool, we'll take you straight back.
No.
And then you could have done that in 5 minutes, but that was like the whole first act.
He shouldn't have had any options. Like, no, you can't go back to Earth. This is bigger than that. You're the best at this thing, and if you don't kill these guys, Earth is going to die. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can go back to Earth if you want, and then you'll die. Or get in the spaceship with these, like, really cool, like, let's be honest, humans wearing rubber face masks, which I love, by the way. It's my favorite thing. Don't give me CGI. Just wear a mask. It's so awesome. You're an alien. You look exactly like a human, but you have a weird, like, wig. Crackly face. I agree. They shouldn't have gone home. That was a waste of time. And it should have been more, I don't know. They should have given me more investment about the battles. Why am I fighting?
Yes, and the bad guy was a guy who was on another ship who never met anyone.
Right.
He never met anyone.
Right.
I think there was one bit where it was like, oh, my dad is the leader of the good guys, and they had like a brief conversation.
His dad was and we came in with this big like face that was like like a hologram of his face because his dad was the leader of the good guys. How about, hey, hone in on that story, people. Talk about, remember Star Wars is all about dads and sons and their conflict. This is the conflict. My dad is part of the good guys, but I split off because I'm a bad guy. What's your name? Is it Anakin Skywalker, maybe?
Maybe.
Right?
Yeah, it's like reverse Star Wars. I think like I've talked about this in other episodes about how having a convincing and interesting villain who has some relationship, any kind of relationship with the hero is really important, but ideally you want a villain that reflects the worst parts of the hero. Yeah. Because they should be there to challenge the hero and see whether or not they're going to give in to their own dark side or not. Yeah. But so the villain didn't have any relationship with the main guy. All he said was, "Oh, there's a Last Starfighter. I don't even know who they are, but let's try and kill them." Yeah. So that felt very kind of shallow, and I had no investment in that relationship at all. Yeah. I think there could have been a way, I'm sure, to make that rivalry much more compelling.
Well, maybe we can explore that in a little something we call the twist.
But before we do that, it's time to be silly again.
Let's be silly for once in our lives.
For once. Can't we just be silly?
For once in our lives.
One of my favourite things about this film was the fact that a guy played a video game really well and then did the video game.
In real life?
So my question is, if you were going to do a video game really good and then be put in the video game, what would it be?
I'm pretty good at Tetris. Let me tell you why. Meticulously organizing things so that they fall exactly into place. Love that. Okay. If there was such a thing as real life Tetris and or such a thing as real life, like a video game where you like tessellate boxes into a car, like so that's optimal packing without any like airspace.
Box technology.
My gosh, box technology. It's come a long way. I would love that. I would love that. Yeah. I would love that. Or, okay, this is a throwback. You're asking me about video games, and I'm like, I haven't played one in a long time. Okay, so, get ready for references. There was a Nintendo Entertainment System game in the 1990s called Bubble Bobble.
Ooh. It's
about two dinosaurs who are friends, maybe brothers, maybe twins. I don't know. And what they do is they spit like bubbles out of their mouths to catch bad guys, and they collect coins and letters, and then eventually they free a princess.
Nice.
I played that game so many times. I could do it with my eyes closed, but not really, but like basically. And I think if I could be in a video game environment and do it for real, I'd probably do that, because I'd be like, I'm in Bubble Bobble. Watch out, here comes the ghost shark, and I love every second of that. That's what I would do. My references for video games are from the 70s and 80s because I'm an old man. Why don't you tell us about which character in Halo you'd be? Or
Cortana.
Yeah, that one. What would you do?
Stardew Valley. you play as a character whose grandfather leaves them a little farm, and then you go and you plant your crops and you look after your cows and you milk them, and then you make recipes and sell.
I love that.
Yeah, it's super cute. It's very, very soothing.
But
that or Metal Gear Solid. I'm just kidding. That'd be very scary. I think it could be a very interesting challenge for one of the screenwriters out there to write a Tetris film.
Yeah, why not?
Video game movies and TVs, TV specials are so hot right now. Do a Tetris film. How would you make that
Tetris?
work?
Well, I mean, and like that's the thing, right? Maybe it's about a town planner or an architect who's building a building, but then the some sort of like intergalactic goo that comes into play, and these shapes come through, and the shapes make the building disappear.
It's an episode of Black Mirror, and all of us have a constant game of Tetris going on in our minds.
Oh no!
Like here, and each thing that's coming down is like another adult responsibility,
right.
And anyone who gets too high and has too many responsibilities that they can't handle and manage, too many emotions,
right,
gets deleted from the world.
Or like, whoa, what? Not that. That's too intense. How about this? Everyone in their world has a Tetris game going on in their mind, and everybody knows it, right? It's not a secret. There's what you see in the real world in front of you, but to the left, just slightly to the left, is an ongoing game of Tetris in your mind, okay? And if you get to that point where, like, if you're crushing it, okay, everything in your peripheral is better, okay? The big business deal or whatever, you crushed it. What are you driving home? Green lights the whole time, right? If you're doing bad, you just fall over a lot, and also sometimes just and when you fail, you have to you literally fall over and have to take a 2-minute nap, you know?
Mm.
And it's like, how you doing today? Yeah, pretty freaking good, crushing it, bricks, getting them bricks everywhere. How are you today? Not awesome. Yeah, I keep, and then they fall over because of Tetris, you know?
Yeah.
And then eventually people go to the psych ward because they can't handle it. They can't handle it. I can't handle the game. And some people believe it's not real. And then they're just asleep. Too real?
Oh, wait, what's that? One sec. Sorry, there's someone at my door. Let me just go check.
Who's that?
What do you want? Oh. Let me just go. Okay. So there's a guy at my door. He's just turned up in a car that looks awfully like an off-brand DeLorean.
Right.
And he's just said to me, wait, you come and explain it. Emma.
Hello, who are you?
Hi, my name is, what was that guy called? Centuri.
Hi, Centuri. What's up?
Centurion.
Yep.
I need to deliver this message, Emma. Yes? You are the best Pac-Man player we've ever had in the world.
Yep.
I've designed Pac-Man specifically so that we could find somebody to come and solve a really bad problem that we've got. Oh, really? Wow. What's the problem? We've got like all these dots everywhere, and they're just really messing up the place and causing a really big, it's blocking the roads, and everywhere you go there are these dots. And, I just think you have the right talent to help us out and win this battle and sort us out. Do you think that's something you could do? Yeah, I think I could have a go. There's one final test I need you to do. I need you to do this one thing. Okay? Can you make the noise? Can you do the noise? I guess I can try. Just try if that's okay. Wicca. No, sorry, no, that's not it. But you can't. Never mind. I have to go. I'll go try something else. I'll try number 2. Okay, see you later. Bye. I blew it.
You blew it.
It was my one shot.
Yeah,
this is what I was saying about, you know, you got to be ready so that when the moment happens, you're ready for it.
You only get one shot. Mom's spaghetti. You blew it.
Mom's spaghetti.
Hey everybody, if you love Mom's Spaghetti and also getting your one shot, 8 Mile, you know what I'm talking about. then you'll also love being a big fan of ours on our social media platforms. We know that we get listeners when fans like you share our podcast on the social media. So please share our podcast on your social medias at Plot Twisters Pod. Peace! I'm out of here. Rap stuff.
So do we want to do a serious one or do we want to do a silly one?
Can we do one that's very serious but also is a bit silly at the edges? You know, it's like a mullet. Party in the back, but business in the front. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But also, he's wearing like
mullet.
They're wearing like a fun tie, you know, so
yeah.
You know they're cool.
Got it. Okay. Well, for the serious parts, you know, which I'll handle as the serious one of the two of us.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you're the one who would like know how to do taxes and stuff.
I super do not know how to do taxes.
You'd know how to text somebody to ask how to do taxes. You know?
Yeah.
I'd be like,
I'd know how to watch a YouTube video telling me how to do taxes.
You're already helping. You're already helping already, you know? So what's the serious part? Let's get that out of the way.
I'm saying, I don't know why I said that. I'm thinking, but I guess also saying,
yeah.
Like I said, the villain is a problem in this film.
Yeah.
You need a good villain.
I have a good idea. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. You just reminded me. Okay.
Don't apologize.
In this movie, I do apologize anyway. I take it, but I still apologize.
Can you apologize for apologizing even though I told you not to apologize?
Sorry. I did it. All right.
Bobody's no effect.
Bobody's no effect. Here's the thing. In this movie, this guy out of nowhere is like, you know what I need to do? Recruit more people to fight in the old war that we're happening in space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a video game plus marketing to make this video game to attract the best Starfighter. But I think in our twist, if the bad guy made the video game and got and like same thing, designed a video game, recruited the best person, but did it intentionally to in some way bring down the organization, and everyone's like, you're the best Starfighter, come on in, you're the best Starfighter. And then the bad guy goes, I'm the one who brought you here. You know why? Because you're gonna just stop this war completely. You know what I mean? Subvert it. Twist it.
Can I? So he has to switch sides, basically.
Yes, he's recruited by the bad guys, and then he realizes he actually has to be the good guy.
Can I tell you about a reference which you might know?
Yes.
Which, at least in my household, we reference on such a regular basis.
Right.
That if you don't know about it, then I'm docking you one friendship point.
Oh, I can't afford to lose any points, but go on.
It's one of those things that, like, you know, once you know it, then you just it's relevant so often in your life.
Yes.
It's a Mitchell and Webb sketch.
Yes. Are we the baddies?
It's Are We the Baddies?
Yes, Are We the Baddies?
Obviously, you get plus 1 point. Yes. So it's a Mitchell and Webb sketch.
Baddies?
If you want to see it, you can literally just Google Are We the Baddies, Mitchell and Webb. That's MITCHELL and WEBB.
They know who those people are.
There might be some Americans listening who don't know.
Americans love Peep Show.
We have a global audience. We have people listening from all countries now.
Yep. Even Belgium.
Romania. Apparently we're big in Romania. So if you're a Romanian audience, hello. This one's just for you.
Hello in Romania.
Mitchell and Webb, they are two British comedians and they did a sketch show that tragically ended a while ago.
Yes.
And yet is such a huge part of British culture. They do a sketch where they are standing watching an invasion and they're wearing uniforms that look very similar to a specific historical bad guy society.
Yep.
And one of them notices that they have skulls on their caps and they say, have you noticed that we have skulls on our caps? Are we the baddies? And it's fantastic because it's just very funny and it's very relevant. So
yes,
this is that.
he's recruited by the bad guys, but he doesn't know, and they tell him he's a good guy, and the fight they're fighting is a good thing, and they need to stop this rebel alliance or whatever from, stopping their plans to build an intergalactic highway that, it needs to be built. But then he discovers not only are they bad, but also if they succeed, Earth will be exploded. And then at one point they say, no, once he discovers that Earth's going to be exploded, then they say, you know what, actually, we were probably wrong. You can go back. You want to go back to your girlfriend and your family and stuff. You should go back to Earth. You shouldn't fight for us. And he gets sent home and then has to join the good guys.
Can I make a suggestion?
Right? Yes.
The guy who makes the video game also side switches, maybe. So he realizes that he's also been recruited by the wrong side.
Yeah.
So he's the guy, because I'm thinking so what's his name again? Alex goes back to Earth. He's like, man, I don't think I want to be in this. He finds a way to get back to Earth. And then video game guy shows up again and goes, please come back. And he's like, I already said I don't want to. And he's like, no, you don't get it. Those other guys.
Yeah, they're bad.
They're baddies.
What if, that thing where programmers always put in a back door or a fun, secret thing, right? What if, just in case, because the programmer wasn't sure, he's like, I'm pretty sure the people I'm working with are good guys, but maybe they aren't. So he puts in a backdoor code to alert him that actually it's bad. And Alex has to go back to Earth to punch in the code to tell the guy, actually, these guys are bad. And then he comes on board and he's like, I thought that might be the case, but I needed you to tell me. Now we're going to recruit some more starfighters, and it's not the last starfighter, it's the first starfighter, because they recruit all these starfighters to come and face against the bad guys who have skulls on their faces because they're super bad, and we realize it after the fact, they're covered in blood and stuff.
It's like that scene in Matilda, where they're in the classroom and they have all the fun stuff, and then they pull
oh man,
blinds down and it's all sad stuff. It's kind of like that when he first gets there. It looks great, but then they wheel out all the baddies.
Also,
stuff.
how come nobody just appreciated Matilda for being who she is, who is amazing?
Miss Honey did.
Yeah, eventually, and also I think, doesn't she adopt her in the end?
Yeah, and it's really nice.
Matilda's dad sucked.
Could be 99 people in a room, but all it takes is one person who believes in you, and that person was Miss Honey. It's a Lady Gaga quote. What about this?
Great.
He gets back to Earth. I think I just whacked my I was so excited I whacked my microphone. What about this? He gets back to Earth.
Yep. And
he goes back and plays the game again. But then the game has a different ending.
Oh, right, because he plays it better or different or something. Yeah.
Well, he's still playing it, and then he's like, wait, what's this? And there's there's messages in the game.
Yeah.
And the guy who made the game has updated the code.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it says he's shooting everyone, and then the game's like, are you sure you want to do this? And he's like, yeah, I'm just playing the game. And he's like, but think about what the implications of what you're doing. You're killing.
Mm-hmm.
Each press of a button is
ending a life.
Yeah, millions of people die. Is this right? And he goes, wow, this is really making me think.
Yeah.
Because some video games do that.
Yeah, they sure do.
And there are some which become self-aware and are like, hey, you sure you want to do this, buddy? Which always freaks me out when that happens. So I'm thinking he gets recruited, he goes to the bad guys, but he thinks they're the good guys.
Yeah.
And they're trying to seduce him in. Why would they let him go back though if they're the bad guys?
Because he realizes that they're bad, and he starts intentionally being bad at shooting lasers. So they think he's not very good. So actually they don't want him to be part of the starfighting brigade or whatever.
He's like, it was a fluke. Yeah.
It was a fluke. But also, it wasn't a fluke, because that guy is awesome at shooting, and also he wants to see his girlfriend.
So then he pretends to be bad. He goes back. He wants to see his girlfriend. He's like, this was all a mistake.
But she's not there because she's been recruited by the bad guys. Because while he's been gone, she's trying to figure out what happened to him, and the only thing she knows is he was playing that video game a lot, so maybe there's some secrets in the video game, so she plays the video game a lot, then becomes really good at the video game, and then she is also taken up into space, and she actually thinks it's great to be part of the bad guy brigade, and she's
so
fully on board.
Is she like the villain then?
Maybe. She's definitely part of it. She's definitely teamed up with the bad guy. She's so into it.
Because maybe she's like, I can't believe you turned down this opportunity to get out of this trailer park and have glory and stuff. And all of those things.
Being the last Starfighter is bigger than all of us.
I'm the last Starfighter now and you're just some dude.
Yeah.
So then the goodies get him to go to their side. He then gets taken up space to go to them.
Yeah.
And then there's an amazing reveal where you suddenly realise they're like spaceships are zooming towards each other and he's about to press the trigger and then he looks across and he sees who's that in the cockpit? It's the
girlfriend. It's the girlfriend. It's good old what's her name?
Her name was Maggie.
It's good old Maggie. It's Maggie in the cockpit. Yeah.
And she's the bad.
This is like it's like a reverse episode 1. Or no, episode 3, which is the one with Padme's all like, "You're not a bad guy, are you?" Right?
Kind of, yeah.
And he's all like,
the last two kind of, but yeah,
I'm not a bad guy.
Yeah.
Or am I?
Mm-hmm.
I killed all of them.
I'm not going to bring balance to the Force. I am going to destroy it. I believe is the line.
I killed them all. Women, children. I killed all of them.
The younglings.
So
then he realizes, so then maybe he's like, oh my god, I can't kill her, it's my girlfriend Maggie. So then he, there's some series of events that means he ends up back in the place, in the goodie place, and they're like, no, you have to take her out. And then he's like, no, I don't. I just need to explain to her that what she's doing, she might think is good because she thinks still that she's with the goodies and that he's joined the bad guys, but in reality
it's the other way around.
It's the other way around. So he's like, I just need to tell her that they're baddies because, and there would be some really like black and white thing which is like, oh, they're secretly like killing babies in the background or something, and that's undeniably bad, right? Or like, or they say that they are destroying dead, lifeless planets,
but they're not. They're fully
inhabited. To get rid of them, but they're fully inhabited, and she doesn't realize. So it's something like that.
Exactly.
So he needs to get information. So he needs to get information to her to tell her what's happening. So what he does is he puts it in the video game and then gets her to play the video game.
He codes it in.
That's how she understands.
She knows because she's still playing the game.
Yeah. At the end, he's like, "Don't tell them that you figured it out."
Right.
So you can destroy them from the inside.
Yep.
And then she like unplugs the big gun that's about to destroy everything, and then breaks it down, and then there's a lovely read.
Exactly. They're both frozen in carbonite and thrown into the Sarlacc pit. For consistency.
And they become Force ghosts.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're edited back into.
Correct. They're edited films. Back into the films they weren't in.
Yeah,
and then you see Luke Skywalker. He's been living in a little cave in in a misty mountain for
50
a while.
years after the original film was made,
we make
another series was made that's set before that film.
Yeah.
Which is better.
They use CGI to insert those people from this movie into that movie, but it's all fine because you know what? The franchise is bigger than all of us. Okay, and it will never die.
Never.
Dude, we crushed it. This movie was like a bad Star Wars, right? It's just like a crappy Star Wars. Because I think in the 80s, people loved Star Wars, and they were like, we need more of a Star Wars. Let's have this one.
Some guy was like, I could do that.
I could do that. How hard could it be? A couple of computers and some weird masks. You got yourself a Star War right there.
Yep.
This was a Star War. And a Back to the Future, and also all of the sci-fi.
Back to the Future was a Star Wars. Everything's a Star Wars. And you know what? Star Wars is a Dune.
Star Wars is Dune.
Foundation, and that was based on something else, and that was based on something else, and that was based on something else. Because nothing is original. Everything's
based on
reference.
Everything. Exactly.
Hat on a hat.
Hat on a hat, indeed. And that's fine. You know why? Because I'm a material girl, and I'm living in a material world. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with it. I'm rolling with the punches, all right? Nothing's original, and that's fine. That's fine.
By the way, can I just say I really like your new hat?
Oh, it's the hat that I'm wearing on top of my hat.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Thanks.
But it's funny because I actually have the same one, so that's cool.
That's fun.
I do have a question though.
Where are you going with this? Yes.
Have you noticed that the design on the front of the hat is a skull?
Wait a minute.
So my question is,
are we the baddies?
What do you think about my new skull logo for my new small business of hat making?
I like it. I really like it. And I think, you know why? Because in business, 90% of business is getting someone's attention.
Yes.
And you have got my attention with that skull.
Yeah.
I'm listening. What's that sound? It's the sound of money. Ding, 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 ding. Ka-ching.
Yeah. And also, are we the bad guys? So let's rate this film on a scale of 1 to 5 cigarettes and bubblegum. How many cigarettes and bubblegum do you rate the film The Last Starfighter?
Right. This might be harsh, but I'm going to give this movie a 2. Right? And let me tell you why. It could have been awesome. The video game recruits you to be part of a real life battle in space. Too bad for all the middle bit, which was pretty darn boring. I was pretty darn bored by this movie. I love the special effects. I love the concept, but the execution was boring and a bit sort of meh, so I give it a 2. What about you?
I agree with everything you've said.
Okay.
However, I am going to go for the nice, comfortable, middle
3.
of the road, come see, come saw, bit of this, bit of that. Not really committing either way. Nice and relaxing 2.5.
You are a sucker for 80s like sci-fi stuff, aren't you?
I am. It's
freaking
just,
love it.
I'm sorry. I just like it a lot.
I don't blame you.
I love the CGI. I love the theming, the aesthetic.
Yeah.
I love that.
I get it.
So,
I get it. I get it. I'd watch it again. Whatever. I'd watch it again in the years to come. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. And it also feels like such a product of its time. It feels very nostalgic for me. You couldn't make this movie again.
Yeah. No.
Whereas
totally.
Star Wars, like,
they keep
they keep doing it. Obviously, they look better now. Obviously, the CGI is different. But in the 70s, the original Star Wars, because they use so much practical effects, it's fairly easy to replicate in a similar style.
Sure. Having said that, if they did want to remake this movie into like a 10-part Netflix whatever, it would be intensely exciting. I would watch the hell out of it because they would do it. It would be so fun. It would be so throwback, and it would be done better, and it would be great. I'm just saying, right? It would be great.
Great news.
Don't tell me it's happening.
October 20th, 2020.
Shut your mouth.
Original, I think, producer of the film said that a script for a sequel is being written and the rights to the film have been recaptured.
Oh my God. It's time.
Everything's being made again because nothing original is left.
Write an original thing, people. Having said that, this would be basically original because nobody's really seen The Last Starfighter, right? It's not like Star Wars. It's not like, this is not a piece of content that everybody knows, okay? So they could riff on it.
Quite hit the zeitgeist in the same
I love
way.
it though. Video game comes to life. You're actually fighting an intergalactic battle. The script writes itself, Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever, Disney Plus or Apple TV. Just make it. I will watch it.
Yes.
Because I'm a sucker for throwback 80s stuff. Because I am a throwback 80s stuff. You know what I mean? That's me to a T.
Mm-hmm. We'll see you next week, everyone, for more throwback 80s stuff. Because that's what we do.
That's what we do. That's our job now.
That's our job. Yeah, this is a job for us. This is the only thing that we do. Can you imagine?
God,
One day.
One day.
And until that time, thank you for listening to this episode of Plot Twisters.
We would love it if you would leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, if you have the time.
We'll see you next time.
Gleek glop 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 glop. That's space for goodbye.
Are we the baddies?